Ding, fries are done. Would you like an apple pie with that?
No, I'm good.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to this is week. What is this week? It's week
Technically week 3, but we're on to episode 4.
week 3 of On Target, our weekly dive into Marvel Studios Hawkeye. Once again, I am your host Wes, and I am joined here in the Saw Cave with co-host extraordinaire Andy.
Hello.
And once again, sir, you have the con.
I do. So I guess we'll dive right in on it this week. So we're dealing with episode 4.
Episode 4. Quick note today. This week's episode a little shorter this week.
It is. It's technically the shortest episode to date.
It's like 30. I think it was like 34 minutes without credits
and 41 with.
Yeah. So like, just a quick comment on pacing, because there's a lot of exposition this week. I actually thought the pacing was pretty tight.
Yeah, it was a very quick episode.
I very much I very much enjoyed that. Normally I'm in for the long haul, but at the end of this one, even though it was somewhat shorter, I did not feel cheated in any way.
No, you got a whole lot packed into this.
Yeah, I think so. Why don't we get into it?
Yeah. So this one is titled Partners, Am I Right? Or Am I Right? Am I Right? It's directed by Bert and Bertie, who are a British directing duo best known for their work on Troop Zero, which is an Amazon original.
I keep thinking of, is it a television redo of Troop Beverly Hills?
It may be. I'm not too sure.
I feel like it has that same kind of...
Oddly enough, that one was on the Movie Network tonight.
Was it?
It was. Our writers this episode are Aaron Cancino and Heather Quinn, and it appears that this is their first like full-on credit as writers.
Oh, good for them.
They've got production assistant and whatnot on a few other shows. And
wait, isn't now we talked about these one I can't remember from our previous episode. Is this one of these ladies? Was one of them a basically a writer in training on the last thing that they worked on?
I think so.
I don't remember.
It wasn't like full, head writer. It was screenwriting and whatnot.
Like they were a guild apprentice or something.
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
But we get some interesting developments going on here this week, and we pick up right where we left off the last episode with the Ronin blade at Clint's throat.
Yes, our dear friend Jacques
Duquesne.
Which, even despite the revelation this week, I know they really played up that she, like, you just want to twirl that mustache and give the Dirk Dastardly, and he really leans into it.
He does. Yeah, and it's like right intense, but Kate comes running down the hall and don't do anything. It's Hawkeye, he's an Avenger, and she quickly gets Jack to stand down. And as Eleanor enters the room, she recognizes him right off the bat. And then Jack, he's like, "Oh, you're Archer."
Yeah, that's going to come up later on in the episode as well, right?
Yep. So again, with the branding issue, but wrong Archer. But this does answer our question from last episode, and since neither one seemed to recognize each other on a more personal level, chances are they're not going down that comic book origin road.
Oh no, you're right. Yeah.
So we do get a really good back and forth scene here because they've all sat down for tea after everything's calmed down, and Jack is kind of thrilled with the prospect of Kate working with Clint, but Eleanor is not so pleased.
No,
and it's a great back and forth across the table, and Eleanor gets right down to business, demanding, what is the truth?
She really, last week we talked about, I questioned, do we think that there's something more sinister going on with her?
I think there might be.
And I got the impression that this week, like, there's still enough reasonable doubt for me to think that there is more to her character than we know. But at the same time, in this particular sequence, she comes across like the CEO of a major security company would. Like, it's her job to be in the know, and she seems to know quite a bit.
She does.
Yeah.
But and like even the slide, I kind of called it interrogation because she's pressing them.
Well, yeah, it doesn't play any different than an interrogation, so might call it what it is.
Yeah. But demanding the truth, Clint reluctantly admits, we are working together. And after that, she also tells, Kate, you're staying here, and
Yeah,
can I
yeah,
see
yeah.
you out, Hawkeye?
I love in that sequence though, the two of them sitting on the couch, how she's still this like bubbly, like enthusiastic, like,
Yep.
hey, hey, and he's just like grizzled
Yep.
and straight faced and
Yeah. So on the way out, though, Clint tries to reassure Eleanor that Kate is very skilled,
right.
but I don't know if it's intentionally or not. But she strikes a nerve and says, Natasha Romanoff had skills too, but it's not
Yeah,
always
yeah, yeah.
enough. And then, she appeals to him like, "Are you a parent?" And he's like, "Yeah, She's like, "I can tell you are." And she's like, "Can you just forget this case?" And he's like, I can't. I'm sorry, but I guarantee Kate will be safe."
Right.
And as the elevator doors close, we do see that on his way out, he has picked up the Ronin sword.
Yeah, I killed the last episode as or this episode when she's at the door, and I couldn't help but like stare. Did you notice the bucket of umbrellas at the door?
I did not.
There was like no less than like 3 swords in the bucket. And I thought, is he going to pick up on that? Like there's swords everywhere in this
It
place.
literally is.
And for a fleeting second I wondered, was he going to like snag it? And of course he does, and
Yep.
even goes so far as to pull the retractor thing.
Mm-hmm.
Still doesn't satisfy the I mean it makes for a cheaper movie prop, I guess, if you just
That too makes it easier to sneak out of places.
well, there you go. And I mean, I don't want to write that one off to plot armor, but I mean, it is what it needs to be, I guess.
Twice now it has benefited the situation.
Exactly.
But he also, once he gets in the elevator, sends a text to Laura to have her look into Sloan Limited.
Right. And since when did Laura become so pivotal in his operations? Yeah.
I'm going to get into that here because this brings up a couple things. And we've speculated as to how much she actually knows. And
Laura.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this kind of tells us she's kind of moved into a guy in the chair type role. And we're going to see that again later on.
Yeah.
So chances are very slim she doesn't know every aspect of what goes on with Clint.
Yeah. I always presume that, I mean, obviously they had been together for a while, long enough to have a relationship and go on and have kids. So in my mind, no doubt that she's known for a while that, as a shield agent, that what his job entails, and then moving on to becoming an Avenger, like that's just a natural extension of that.
Yeah.
But this week almost goes on to, plant the idea that there's more to her than what the show is revealing to us.
Mm-hmm. It's really leaning into the Ultimate Comics version of it, because in that he is married to Laura and she is like, his support, and she knows all about his Avengering. And,
okay.
But we'll get to that in a little bit.
Sure.
We flip back to Eleanor in another part of the apartment, and she's making an urgent phone call to someone.
Oh, yeah.
But just who this is, we do not know yet. But
so, I mean, I like where you're going with that. I like the
this is a big mystery.
I like the silhouette you've put there, but part of me thought, is she maybe just using the resources that are available to her through her company?
It's quite possible.
She's getting some kind of, I don't want to say minion, but somebody, like a VP or somebody within the company to look into stuff for her.
See, I don't think it's a minion, because she calls and says, I need to speak with so and so.
Fair enough.
But like, it feels like she's talking to somebody above her.
Yes.
So going on from there, we go back to the street and we find Clint making a phone call to Laura to see what she's come up with.
Right.
And she's talked to someone who's very busy learning Russian and jogging. And I don't know if this is meaning that she actually talked to somebody, or it's just code words for tracksuit.
Yeah. But last week we talked about his phone.
Yes.
Did you work it into this week?
I forgot to.
Oh, that's okay. We can talk about it quickly now, because do you have a slide for the phone call?
I do have a slide for the phone call,
because very clearly in this scene, it's a different phone.
Yeah.
It is looks like a modern smartphone that he's calling Laura with, which means that the other one
burner phone.
Definitely a burner phone. And so, like, last week we talked about not knowing sort of whether it was a prop phone or not. Turns out that that's a real phone that you could buy from Amazon. It cost something like $40. And the funny thing about it was it came, and this is where I laughed my ass off. That little flip phone came with a free 3-month subscription to a telehealth service.
Huh.
And I thought, is that an intentional nod, to someone like Clint who's not superpowered, who would
Might need that.
might need medical advice regularly?
But thinking now that it was a flip phone, it does make me want to go back to Infinity War
Yeah,
and look at the phone that Tony was going to call Steve on, because that was a flip phone too.
that's a really good point.
So maybe they got like Avengers flip phone deals.
They got the Tony Stark discount. I'll just buy
Maybe.
the company.
So back to this though, it's also possible that maybe they have a contact within the tracksuits.
Yeah,
So we go on to find that Sloan Limited is a front for them, and Jack Duquesne is the CEO. So Clint, he postures maybe they're just laundering money for the big guy,
you slimy dude.
and the big guy can be another hint at
Well, is that just another like, ha ha?
could be the kingpin. But
That is the reigning theory, and I mean, I think it's pretty clear that's what we're going with
it
until
is. So
until they tell us otherwise.
if we get anything less, it'll be like, oh.
Yeah, disappointment.
But Laura asks, who she asks if anything else was taken from the Avengers compound, and she asks it in German.
Right. I think that's more for the kids' benefit, though.
Yeah, because she is like using code word, so they're not fully
Yeah,
in
yeah,
on
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. And that's where you kind of get into this, like, whoa, what's up with her?
Yeah, because she's got like skills going on here,
Yeah.
extra languages, and but she's the one that asks about the Rolex.
Right. And I mean, I think early on, you had mentioned that right from episode 1, you're like, oh, that watch is going to come back.
Yeah, I thought it was Tony Stark, but now
So did
this
I.
means it's debunked. It's not Tony Stark's watch.
Well, that goes back to the line when they were talking about when he's Clint is talking about the watch with Kate, and she says, who does it belong to? And he says, a retired friend.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what options are there for that?
True.
Should I just like put it on the nose and throw it out there?
Yeah, go for it.
Do we think the watch belongs to Steve Rogers?
Hmm.
And Steve Rogers is still alive.
Huh. That's a maybe.
So that's one, and then the other one I thought was, in light of everything that's going on, we'll talk about I'm going to tie this back to the Pym arrow from last week. That there was a lot of sort of social media like, oh, he's retired and all this other stuff. Could Hank Pym be the person who's now bankrolling the Avengers operations?
Maybe.
And so maybe the watch belongs to Hank Pym.
That's possible.
So that's the two. That seems to be the two prevalent theories, and I'm split right down the middle as to where I kind of lean to that one. I think it could be either of them.
Well, there is a third theory, but I'm going to get to that one organically later.
Yeah, okay.
Because Laura goes on to say we thought that it was destroyed years ago.
Oh yeah.
Along with Clint's fancy outfit.
Oh yes,
So
yes.
that tells us, she knows about Ronan.
Yes.
So
yeah.
Probably there is not much she doesn't know.
So that brings up a whole other host of things, right? Because that means on a personal level, like, yeah, you were gone for 5 years, but then you're back, and then there's the realization that you were married to a murderer.
True.
Are you a murderer if you're only killing bad guys?
Don't know.
There's that whole like,
ask the Punisher.
Yeah.
But as at this point in the conversation, he's looking over his shoulder, checking to make sure nobody else is listening.
Yeah.
Because does he sense someone's following him at this point, or?
Yeah, I don't know.
So, because there is in the previous shot here, there is this girl at the hot dog cart who's kind of eyeing him up.
The girl in the dark sunglasses.
Yes, and she disappears.
I see that
in the next sequence here. So
right. But again, I mean, speaking in broad strokes, sort of the macro look. I mean, we know that Secret Invasion is coming.
Yes, we do.
So I mean, could that just be like, if we're going to link that directly to the larger scope of things, could that be part of the setup for that?
It's quite possible.
Yeah.
But agreeing that, it's something worth looking into, he asks Laura if she can see if there's still a signal from the transmitter.
Right.
And that's more of that guy in the chair action. And at the same time,
because how is she checking that?
Yeah. And, why is that watch pinging? What kind of transmitter is in a watch for that particular reason?
Yeah.
But we don't know much about her past, Laura's being.
Yeah.
But now we know she's good at running down info.
Yeah,
she speaks German, and she's concerned about the whereabouts of the watch.
Yes.
So Laura tells Clint, get some rest, put some ice on it, and they say their goodbyes. And then she turns and tells the kids, he'll be a couple days longer at work. And, it's sad. He's not home yet.
Yeah, and that really ties back into that this is a Christmas
get
story.
Home for Christmas type story.
Yeah.
But we skip back over to Eleanor's apartment, and we overhear her telling Jack that Kate's been obsessed with Clint Barton ever since the attack on New York.
Yep.
And Jack, he's like, you look like you're getting a headache. I'm going to go get you some tea. And Kate again tries to bring up the subject of Jack.
Right.
But because she's got more info now, but she gets shut down. And when Jack returns to the room, he finds them, Eleanor's trying to convince Kate to help plan this Bishop Christmas party.
Yeah, that's right.
And he's like, oh, the party must have dancing. And she's
like,
Mom doesn't dance. And we get this scene of him, he sweeps her off her feet. They dance around a little bit. And she's just taken aback.
I know the look on her face it's a true like WTF.
Yeah. Because Kate remarks that I've never seen Mom like this.
Yeah.
And Jack, we get treated to an aphorism from him. Life is short. You never know what you're going to get.
Oh, I know.
And this is a great one because we all know it's
the Forrest Gump reference. Yeah.
And then both Eleanor and Kate, they break out laughing at him, and Kate informs him that every time he uses one of these aphorisms, he gets it wrong.
It's wrong, yeah.
And apparently he's also uttered other gems like absence makes the heart grow older.
Which he says it's true.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, you know what? Better to be laughed at by family at Christmas than to be alone. So,
that's true, yeah.
So, maybe he is genuinely wanting to be part of the family.
Right.
But back with Clint, we find him using margarita mix as ice packs.
I had to look at the bags a few times. I mean, I was a little tired watching it. And I'm like, is that like frozen fruit? I'm like, oh, and I said to Kim, what is that? And she's like, I think it's daiquiri mix. I'm like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, that too. So, just as he sits down, Kate buzzes up and lets him know that she's brought pizza and holiday cheer.
Yeah.
So, we get another nod or a callback to a couple episodes ago.
That's right.
The pizza is from Herman's Hearty Slice, which is the pizza joint underneath her apartment.
It only makes sense that you would buy it from the guy right downstairs.
True. But she keeps returning to the scene of the crime.
Who may or may not also be the landlord.
Maybe, yeah. But fun fact here, according to MCULocationScout.com.
Oh, okay.
The real world filming location for Herman's is 87 Broad Street Southwest in Atlanta.
Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah. But it's fun because this location also shares another tie to Hawkeye, because this street doubled as Tokyo for the Ronin scene in Avengers Endgame, where Natasha finally catches up with him.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So double duty on this street.
Very nice.
But Clint asks her, what's the rest of the stuff that you've brought? And she begins to show him. And turns out she's brought a whole slew of movies for movie night.
Yeah.
And there's lots of little Easter eggs in there because you get like Elf and Die Hard, Christmas Vacation, Santa Claus. There's also Rudolph and the Polar Express as well.
So, how many of those movies are appearing on Disney Plus currently?
Good question. Because I don't know. I know a couple of them will be.
Yeah, there's definitely a couple of them there. Santa Claus is one of them for sure.
Yeah, and Elf probably will too. But there's a Jon Favreau connection there.
Yeah.
But before they can go into the movies, Clint wants to talk about Sword Boy.
Yep.
And he goes on to tell her that Sloan is the shell company and Jack is the CEO. And Kate resolves that they're going to have to come up with a plan to take down her mom's fiance's organized crime ring while simultaneously having a heartwarming holiday celebration.
Yeah. We're going to do this whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And we're going to have fun.
So as they don their ugly Christmas sweaters, they begin working out a plan. And in doing so, we're shown another one of Aunt Moira's movie posters, which she uses as a dry erase board.
Right. Oh yeah. Are you sure those dry erase?
Yeah. We get the title here, and it's A Chance of Love. And we also get a couple comedy beats, like you said, because Clint questions, is that poster really dry erase?
Yeah.
And it's not. She
No.
tries to wipe it off, and it's a fail.
It just kind of like, like she knows that she's like tripped on it.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
And then we got our next one here because they're sitting on the couch. They're talking about trick arrows. And Kate makes a suggestion for a boomerang arrow. And Clint scoffs at it. And it's funny because
right.
the shoe is on the other foot in the comics because, whereas he's laughing at it, in the comics, he's telling her to respect the gear. And in particular, he pulls out a boomerang arrow.
The boomerang arrow.
Yeah.
Oh.
And both of them are like, what do you need that for? Because it comes back.
I still don't get it. I mean, great. Yeah, great. There's a comic book nod, but I just don't get why.
Maybe it goes off, does what it needs to, and comes back.
Well, I mean, whatever's on the end of it, I mean, is it useful? I don't know.
True. Because they do make a point of saying, the trick arrowheads, they're no problem to get.
You know what though? Let me, as I'm thinking this through here, I'm really thinking it through, and I'm thinking sort of the origins of the boomerang. The boomerang would come back to you if you didn't hit the thing you were aiming at.
True.
So maybe that is it's the last ditch. I've only got one left, and if I screw it up, I might get it back. Okay, I'm thinking about this way too hard.
Well, if you're trying to like tether a cable or something, attach it, and it goes around whatever post you're doing.
Yeah, that's also that totally,
because that comes up all the time.
Yeah.
But anyway, Kate makes the suggestion. He laughs at it, and then we move on, and we get a bit of a Christmas montage. Well, they're making margaritas or daiquiris, whatever they may be.
Yeah. Frozen slushy drinks.
Yum. But while they're decorating the tree, Kate says, is there any more tricks that you can show me? And he holds up this little Christmas ornament, and he says, I can knock a guy out from 20 feet with this.
Yeah.
And he's like, you can use a quarter or a nickel, but not a dime because it's too light. And, Kate kind of laughs this off and then goads him on like, show me.
Yeah.
He's like, what? You want me to knock you out? And she's like, no, but make a shot.
Yeah, do something.
So he does. He wings it off like without even looking and turns the power off on the TV.
Gets the double rebound.
Yep.
Yeah. Or the bank shot. Bing, boom.
Yep. And she's like, oh my God, you got to show me how to do that, which leads to a fun little montage of her trying to pick up this new trick. And I don't know if they're aiming for that or just because of how you do it, but Clint tells her, just give it a little snap.
Yeah.
So during this whole montage, though, and the snap, the mug he's drinking out of says Thanos was right.
Give it a little snap.
And this little gem pops up multiple times throughout here. So not only is this phrase, graffiti about town, but now it's like a slogan on mugs and t-shirts and stuff. We also get another glimpse of another Moira film.
Oh.
And this one is titled The Savage Hyrax.
Oh, okay.
Now, I went looking for a connection to comics or anything, and I could not find one.
No.
But the Hyrax itself is a rodent-like creature, and when it's full grown, it's between 12 and 20 inches long.
Okay.
And they're related to elephants and manatees.
Distantly?
I think so, but they're on the same tree. They're also endangered.
Yeah, okay.
But they don't exactly look savage.
Nor like an elephant or a manatee.
No, but I guess they share bone structure or some weird thing.
I guess so, yeah.
But back to our show. When Kate asks Clint what was the best shot he ever took, the festive vibe goes a full 180, and he's like, the one I didn't take.
Yeah.
And it turns out that he's talking about the time he met Natasha. And, Kate goes on to apologize for asking, but he says, it's all right. In this line of work, it's about managing loss.
Yeah.
And she also figures out Clint lost his family in the snap. And then she puts it together that Clint was Ronin.
It's really important though. Like there's some really deep moments here, like for their, how the two of these characters are connecting, because now you're getting Clint, who's really showing a moment of vulnerability, talking about, not only does it inform us about how close that he and Natasha were, but we also find out that he was actually sent out to take her down.
Yeah.
And he chose not to. And at first you're like, wait, what is he like regretting that he didn't like pursue her personally, like romantically? No, he further explains that,
Yeah.
it
He
looked like
gave,
she wanted out.
and he gave her a chance to get out.
Yeah.
So
Further, we've talked about the survivor guilt thing,
yeah,
and it comes through here again.
it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because after a brief discussion, Clint asserts that he was just doing what he was trained to do. Like,
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
a weapon and he was aimed and set loose. And
Yeah, because Kate kind of does
she's still on the
very,
hero
very
kick.
childlike, very enthusiastic. You're a hero. And he's like, no, I was a weapon.
Yeah.
And I just happened to be aimed at the right people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he thanks her for what she did with all the Christmas festivities and tells her, it's time to get some rest.
Yep.
And he's alone with his thoughts. And first he goes to his family, then Ronan, and finally Natasha. And her words are echoing through his head. So, he's still dwelling on it.
I think there's a part of him like that still thinks it should have been him that went off the cliff.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But in the morning, we get Clint still using that Thanos mug.
Yep.
And Kate enters the scene wearing a t-shirt with a Russian language on it and an arrowhead.
Oh, okay.
So it turns out not only does this shirt add another triangle
little,
type
Sputnik thing going on there.
It is. The real world connection here is that it translates to Leica. And Leica was the Russian space
name
dog.
of the dog.
Yeah, and she was the live passenger on Sputnik 2.
Okay.
But that story, like, she was hailed as a hero and everything.
Yeah.
It would come out in 2002, 45 years after the fact that Leica, which translates to Barker, probably died in agony only a few hours after going into orbit.
Launch?
Yeah. Due in part to them trying to rush the satellite into space and not doing proper checks. So.
Gotcha.
But to get us back on track from that sad note, Clint tells Kate that he's going to go have a talk with Kazi. And
this is a great sequence
it
too.
Is. And she's got a job of her own. She has to go retrieve the arrows with some help of the LARPers. So they get to come back.
Yeah. The what?
Yeah. She arrives in the park to find some of them, and they're practicing some maneuvers and whatnot. And upon introducing herself, Wendy Conrad, aka Elsbeth of Deepdale, introduces herself as the police officer. So there's our link to get the arrows.
Well,
back.
We said that the fire and I can't think of his name, the firefighter character. We said, you know what, he's probably going to turn up again.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, there he is.
Yeah. I'm going to hold off on her connection to the 616 just for a moment.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Because Kate goes on to ask, I need some help with some run-of-the-mill evidence tampering in order to get the arrows back. And Wendy agrees, but as long as they make it worth her while. And Grills chimes in here, our while.
Yeah.
Kate, yep, whatever you need, done.
Sure.
So from
I'm
there,
I'm on an Avenger level mission here, and I'm Hawkeye's partner.
Yeah, and them having met Hawkeye, they have no issues with that.
Yeah.
So we catch up to Kazi, and he's coming out of a used car lot, and it's not fully clear, but if you look at the top there, I'm pretty sure it says Fat Man Used Cars.
Oh my Lord, yes.
Another connection possibly to the Kingpin.
I just liked how the shot at the pan as he walks out, and it's like, I think back to the last episode when Clint and Kate took the car, the big Chrysler.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, like, is that all they sell of these land yachts? As he walks by two of them.
Yeah.
And is that the same car? That's a third? The thing they got three of them? Jesus.
A lot of older stuff in there too.
Yeah.
But he enters his vehicle and he's caught off guard because Clint's already in the back seat waiting for him.
Yeah.
Like so many murder victims. Yeah. And he goes for his gun, but Clint's already got it.
It's like every horror movie trope, the person who like thinks they're getting away, and next thing you know, from the back seat.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a nice twist on it because he's like, I'm only here to talk.
Yeah.
Which they do. And Clint figures Kazi's the only one that can convince Maya to give up the chase for Ronan. And he mentions, you worked for William for 4 years, and then you worked for Maya for a bunch of years, and you know what Maya's boss wants. and what he's done to get it.
They really go out of their way to not name names, but it's like, and he wouldn't like it.
Yeah.
That the attention that that has been given.
Yeah, but at least that narrows it down. It's a he.
Yeah.
So all that attention that this is bringing to the whole thing is dangerous, and it will get Maya killed.
Is there an irony in the fact that Kazi's like shitty neck tattoo is like the Pontiac Firebird logo?
Maybe. Phoenix connection? I don't know.
Well, see, you can't not, I don't want to read into every little thing, but it's like, knowing that she is an embodiment of, at least in the comic books, you kind of go, is that a nod? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think anything is here by accident.
But it is a shitty tattoo.
It is. But Kazi, when he flat out asks Clint, what do you want? He says, I don't want anyone else to die.
No, and I think I think he's very genuine in that too.
Yeah. And he says, get her to knock it off. This is your last warning.
Yep.
And then you get this little comedy beat because he's like, well, can I at least have my gun back? And he's like, sure you can. And as he gets out and he fires it off in the lot somewhere. So,
yeah.
Kazi's not happy about that.
Like, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
Can I have my gun back? Yeah, sure.
Sure. In a minute. Go find it. But back at Moira's apartment, Clint finds Grills making snickerdoodles.
Right.
And Kate's getting fitted for some Viking armor by Missy, who is played by Adele Drejos.
Oh.
And it's here after finding out that Missy made the armor by hand.
Right.
That the favor kind of gets solidified.
Well, and then immediately where this is going.
You do.
Yeah.
I mean, they tease it in the silhouette opening and everything.
Oh, yes, of course they do, yeah.
But Kate asks if Missy could make 2 outfits for her and Clint. But just then Grills jumps in. He's like, well, why not make the deal, get materials for costumes for all of us?
Yeah. And then, so what does she agrees to, what about for all of you plus two more?
Yeah. And Clint, a little miffed by this, he's telling her, you were only supposed to get the arrows, not stage a play.
Yeah.
And Missy corrects him, we're not staging a play, we're a guild.
Yeah.
So right then, Clint gets a text from Laura saying the Rolex was not destroyed and it's currently at 3715 Godfrey Road. And this prompts Clint to tell him, we got to go. And Kate, or he's like, I got to go. And Kate jumps in, no, we've got to go.
Right. Because we're partners, right?
Exactly. And just as
anything to the Godfrey Road address?
I couldn't find anything.
Yeah, I was kind of curious myself, and I'm like, it could be something, maybe not. I don't know.
I could not find anything. But just as they're heading out, Wendy Conrad returns with the bag full of arrows.
Yep.
And tells him, arrow retrieval mission complete. So he attempts to just grab the bag of arrows. And she's like, no, this was a gift from my wife.
Yeah.
She had bombshell embroidered on it. And here's where we're going to dive in on Wendy Conrad. Because the character Bombshell was created by Mark Grunwald and Elliot Drown.
Okay.
And first appeared in Hawkeye #3 back in August of 1983.
Oh, really?
She was a mercenary who specialized in explosives.
Yep.
And she would go on to be a member of criminal organizations like Jugglers of Death. Or no, it was an organization of criminal jugglers. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They were called the Death Throws.
The Death Throws.
So they throw death. Then she would go on to be part of the Femizons.
Femizons. Wow, that's not on the nose at all.
Yeah. And then she would go on to work with Misty Knight during the Villains for Hire series.
Villains for Hire.
Yeah. So
interesting.
longtime villain gets a nod without, diving too hard into it.
But they've subverted that by making her
a cop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's interesting.
Neat little touch. But moving on, we find Hawkeye and Kate doing some brief recon at 3715 Godfrey Road, and everything appears quiet and calm. Like lights are out and everything. And Kate suggests, this roof that they've chosen is too low. And he's quick to point out, it's better to have a quick exit than a quick entrance.
Yeah.
So, little by little, he is imparting his knowledge. He goes on to suggest that he can use his grappling hook to get up there, and he should be inside in around 3.5 minutes. But as he turns to tell Kate to watch out for stuff, it's too late. She's already gone.
The way
And
that they played it too, and they kept the camera on him while he's got face into the binoculars, and he's so focused, and he's given his big teaching moment, and I turned to Kim, to my wife, and I said, "She's already gone." Sure enough, he takes his head out of the binoculars. Oh man,
how long has he been talking to himself?
Yes.
But Kate has already made her way down to the street and is proceeding right through, and she's going right to the front door. And she gets in by offering to help one of the residents with his groceries.
I have to say though, good on her for getting in without having to
break anything.
Yeah.
And all this, much to the chagrin of Clint, who's now stuck on lookout.
Right.
She makes her way through the building, and she asks about the giant bow problem. And he says, "Well, I got a collapsible
one."
And she gets to the door, and Clint says, "You're all clear. Go for it." And sing like one-handed, she picks the lock.
Yeah, that's not
there's a skill I don't think you would pick up normally, but
I think of all of the the reality TV shows that we've seen where like the repo shows and stuff where it's like, or you've seen in other movies too, where it's like it's always like two picks at the same time, and it's like, oh, she just
teeth and one to hold the bottom.
Yeah. But one-handed. Good for you, Kate Bishop.
Yeah. But upon entry, turns out she's triggered a silent alarm and multiple strobe lights start going off. And she's pretty quick. She hits them with the goo arrows.
The goop arrows.
Yeah, so they're making
good to see that they've returned.
Come back. And she says, "What am I looking for?" And Clint tells her, it's a vintage Rolex that belongs to someone I used to work with.
Yeah.
They've been out of the game a long time, but their identity is still attached to the watch.
Right.
So it doesn't belong to Tony, but
I think we can definitely rule that one out.
Yeah. Because also here we find out just based on the lighting, because in the first episode it looked red. It looked like Tony.
That's what I thought colors. Too. Yeah, red.
But when she puts a light on it here, it's more copper.
It still could be red. It just may be that the flashlight kind of gives it that quality, because in the light of the the illegal auction, it just was lit differently.
Yeah, it was like orange street lighting, I guess. So
I don't know enough about vintage Rolex watches, but if you guys do, let us know.
Yeah, especially ones that have little transmitters in them.
Yeah. But, yeah.
Again, there's a lot of internet theories floating around about who the watch belongs to, and some people are claiming that perhaps it's Clint's wife Laura, and maybe she was once the Avenger known as Mockingbird.
Oh, I never even considered that.
Well, I'm going to poke a hole in that right now.
Oh, okay.
Because this is a huge red flag for me.
Right.
Yes, in the comics, Clint and Mockingbird were married.
Yes.
Her identity was Bobby Morse.
Yep.
And like her or not, Bobby Morse has been introduced in canon in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, that's Adrienne Palicki.
Yeah. And she made her debut there in the second season while they were still dealing with the fallout from the Hydra insurgents in Captain America the Winter Soldier. So as far as her being Mockingbird, I think this is a huge misdirect.
Well, let's chew on that for a second, because we've already criticized the tie-ins, like the television tie-ins to the MCU, and I think we both kind of agree that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is perhaps the
weakest.
The weakest. So could they just ignore it and push ahead and just retcon it? Or
it's possible, but I don't think they can, because Coulson is canon.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest argument for
is at least the first couple seasons before it went off the rails with crazy space travel,
right,
alternate universes and time travel,
which right now is a staple of the MCU, by the way.
So maybe they just speared off, but in this particular timeline, she entered when it was still fully connected to the MCU.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So we're gonna say it's a no to Mockingbird.
I'm saying no, she's not.
I will join you with that. Yep, not Mockingbird.
But watch in hand.
Do you have any other ideas though about Laura?
I do not yet.
No, me neither.
I need more info.
I just wonder if she has there's always that the thing in the wind that's kind of there but not there, and it's like Fury.
Maybe.
I mean, Fury's still in the game. I know that he's not We don't think he's presently on Earth,
No, we think he's at possibly the Sword Station.
but I still think he's in the game. And I
Yeah.
mean, and if Fury was able to set everything up for Clint to get away to be with his family, maybe there's more of a personal connection there.
Maybe.
Maybe Fury's doing stuff behind the scenes.
Well, especially in the Ultimate Comics, because he names one of his children Nikki
Oh,
after
nice.
Nick
That's cool.
Fury.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know,
Which also lends itself into the whole like, well, Fury's in space with Talos, which really lends itself to that whole secret invasion thing.
yeah, that's coming. But watch in hand, Kate turns to leave, but she spies a notepad, and on it she finds Clint's name and the names of his family.
Yeah.
And Clint tells her, get out now, because that alarm was for the deaf. And she spins around the apartment. We see photos, and this is indeed Maya Lopez's apartment. And Clint says he's on the way, but before he can do anything, we hear a scuffle through Kate's earpiece.
Yeah, like there's some kind of fight or something is broken out.
Yeah, and it's funny at the same time, because before Kate can go any further, we find Maya in the apartment, and we get this great dual fight scene, because we've got Maya and Kate going at it in the apartment.
Yes.
And Maya's
here. What are you talking about? She's here on the roof with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Maya is just kicking Kate's ass at this point.
Yeah, kicking butt and taking names.
Yeah. Which leaves the question, who is fighting Clint on the roof?
I have to say that she does a very convincing I'm angry look.
She does.
Yeah, yeah.
And Clint, he's like, who the hell am I fighting?
As soon as, we flip back to the rooftop, Clint is clearly fighting somebody. It doesn't take very long to determine that's a female silhouette.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know about you, but I was immediately like, oh, I know who that is.
Yeah. Because if you didn't, though, we are given a couple clues right at the beginning.
Oh, yes.
Fighting style and a very specific landing pose.
Well, I said that. I'm like,
not have been scoffed
I'm like, there it is. There's the hero landing. I'm like, I know who that is.
Yep. But Clint manages, he gets a moment to reprieve, and he manages to fire off a zip line so Kate can make her quick escape.
Yeah.
And this one's kind of weird. Like, it shoots out from both ends, even though he's firing an arrow.
That is true.
Maybe this is a boomerang effect. I don't know.
Maybe.
But, Maya back in her apartment, she narrowly misses Kate with a knife throw.
Yeah.
And Kate makes a break for the zip line, but she ends up getting stuck in the middle, hanging over the street. And she's stuck there until our mystery assassin jumps up and uses the zip line.
Almost like I was going to say like a bowstring.
Yeah, kind of. And that causes Kate to come, knocks her loose and lets her slide the rest of the way.
I love how she was hanging in the middle of the street, and she was kind of like trying to scooch,
nudge it forward,
scooch down the line. Like I'm getting there.
But, as soon as she's there, the assassin knocks her right to the ground.
Yeah.
And then really quickly, blink and you'll miss it. Assassin's got him right dead to rights.
Oh, dead to rights, for sure. For sure.
And out of nowhere, Maya comes flying across the zip line and disarms the assassin.
Yeah, potentially saving both of them, by the way.
Yeah, because it's a really weird fight at this point, because Maya's out for herself, the assassin is out for herself.
Right.
And it's like a three-way dance, basically.
Yeah, we're not sure who's trying to kill who, but somebody's going to get some killing somewhere.
Yeah. So Maya also relieves Kate of her bow before ending up on the receiving end of an energy shock. And the color may be different, but this is
this was the dead giveaway if you didn't see it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I know what those are too.
Yep. And then another blink and you'll miss it moment. The assassin tosses Kate over the edge. And
yeah.
It's
really harking back to.
Yeah. But not before attaching her to an anchor line.
Yeah.
So,
but Clint doesn't see that.
He does not see that.
When that's what I mean. Like, it really harkens back to Endgame where hanging off the side of the cliff.
Yeah. So, this tells us that she wanted her out of the way, but doesn't want her dead.
Doesn't want to kill her. Yeah.
So Kate is not the target. And, Clint sprints over, bracing for the worst, and looks down and he finds her dangling there.
I mean, it's almost exactly beat for beat the same emotional response, the same grasping, the
yeah,
as in back in the film.
Yeah. But he's staring down at her and he's overcome with relief. Like, she's safe and Kate's pleading, pull me up. But instead, he tells her, get out of here. And he cuts the tether.
I think they're right there. If I was to sort of like infer what's going on right there, that's that moment, when he's having his, I guess it's his intrusive nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
That's that whole Natasha staring up at him saying it's okay, and he's just like, not again, not going through this again.
Yeah.
Cuts her loose, get out of here,
because he knows those crisscrossed Christmas lights are gonna provide the landing she needs to get safely down.
I gotta say, if I'm ever in the market, when I'm in the market for new Christmas lights, I need to know who made those, because man, are they ever tough.
Yeah. And she does, she falls through them and goes through a couple levels of them, and she lands, but immediately she pops back up, and defiantly, she like, I'm not staying down here. She races right back,
stomps off. Well, who are you telling me?
Yeah. And she gets upstairs pretty quick, because she gets up there just in time to find Clint in the middle of a three-way dance where he's just taking it from both of them. And
you just said that he's in a three-way taking it from two people.
Yeah. Both of them are giving it to him proper.
Scott, if you were listening, touche.
See, this show can be dirty too. But assessing the situation, Kate, she takes aim and lets loose in the middle of the fray. And turns out it's some sort of concussion blast arrow that knocks.
Yeah, that's a new one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah.
It's almost like to me, it reminds me of a flashbang, except there's definitely like some serious concussive force there.
Yeah.
To blow them back.
Yeah. Because first to get back up is Kate.
Yeah.
Maya's right on her heels too.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And, Maya manages to land a kick, knocking Kate right across the roof. And Kate manages to pop right up again, though. And she just lets one off finally and plants it right in Maya's shoulder.
Drops an arrow right into her.
And she draws a second, but I guess, Maya opts, this is her time to exit. So
good time to retreat now that I'm wounded.
Yeah. She takes the first arrow out and bails out, leaving Clint and Kate to take on the assassin. At which point, Clint, he recovers his bow and he manages to unmask this assassin.
I just want to say that the concussive arrow, the flashbang arrow, I guess we can call it the flashbang. Sure. Plays right into what we knew about Maya and her powers, right? Because she's deaf, she's the only one not affected by it.
Yeah.
Which, of course, she recovered first and was right back into the, I'm going to kick some more ass.
Yeah. Like Kate was first up, but she was farthest away.
Yeah.
So, okay, where are we here? Clint recovers his bow and manages to unmask the assassin, only to receive a shocking blow for his troubles.
Oh, yeah.
And this should be the final piece in the identity of our assassin, because this indeed is the weapon of a Black Widow assassin.
Yeah. What do we call these things? The widow's bite?
The widow's bite.
Yeah, the widow's bite.
Yep. And with Clint down, Kate, she's still got the drop on her. And she turns around to reveal that, yes, it is indeed Yelena Belova.
Yelena.
The little sister of Natasha Romanoff.
I don't remember. It's my recollection of the Black Widow film is not so great. Does Clint actually know who Yelena is? Or just that she's a Black Widow assassin?
I think that he just knows she's a Black Widow assassin.
Right. He doesn't know that there's a personal relationship between the two of them.
He might be, like, the extent of how intimately knowledgeable they were.
Yeah, sure. I think it's probably better for storytelling purposes. I think it's probably better that he doesn't. So at least they can explore that as part of the show going forward, because we know that Florence Pugh.
Yeah,
she's coming back later on.
She will be. Yes.
So I mean, clearly, I hate to say that she's our new Black Widow, but that's really what she is.
Yeah.
So I mean, I might as well flesh that out on screen.
Yeah. But Kate's got her dead to rights, and Yelena shakes her head no, and it gives Kate pause, and she lowers her bow. But as soon as she does that, Yelena fires off a little grappling hook and a zip line, and
and off the edge of the building
off she goes.
Yeah.
really similar maneuvers.
Yeah.
So Kate rushes over and, Yelena's gone. And she turns and asks Clint, who the hell was that? And Clint replies, you don't want to know. And, she says, I can't be your partner if you don't tell me what's going on.
Then he lays it out brutally for her.
He's very cold here. He's like, you're not my partner. You never were.
Yeah.
That was somebody went out and hired a Black Widow assassin, and things have gotten very real very quickly. But Kate, she refuses to accept this, and Clint stands firm. He's like, no, it's over. I got to do it alone. You got to go home. And we get some really high emotional looks exchange back and forth here.
Yeah, I mean, she really, really lets him have it in that whole. For a minute, I mean, I know they play a lot of the comedy between them is the fact that she's sort of the comedic fop while he's the straight, he's the straight shooter, but she drops all of it and she's like, I know the risk. I chose to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And from his perspective, he can't have her involved because now death is a possibility.
Right. I mean, he's already lost one. And this is it too. Like the whole idea of Kate being his partner, it's very much the mirror image of like, clearly Clint and Natasha, they were partners.
Yeah.
Can't lose another partner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And up until this point, right? Like it's kind of been fun games, like,
for her. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause they can take the tracksuit mafia. They can
right.
do a little
it's
bit
very
of
low level ish.
Yeah. But now there's like a hired,
or should assassin. I say street level ish?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yes. But, she goes to leave and we focus in on Clint and we cut to black.
Yep.
And that is our episode this week.
Yes.
So backtracking for a moment, though, we are finally getting the payoff from that post-credit scene in Black Widow.
Oh, yeah.
With we haven't seen Yelena played by Florence Pugh since then, where she was recruited by Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine.
So can I just, when Kate's mom picks up the phone, part of me thought that's who she was calling. That's who she was talking about or talking to. And that whole idea that, Kate's mom might, I don't know if it's sinister, but there's just something more going on there that we're not aware of. And, it wouldn't surprise me if that's who she was talking to.
Maybe. But this scene, considering how far back it took.
Yeah.
Clint was a target well before Eleanor found out about him. So, I'm wondering now if we will get to see this Valentina character pop up at some point in the next 2 episodes.
But, I don't know. I kind of think she's kind of maybe the, the new glue.
She's definitely a string puller.
Yeah, for sure she is. Yeah.
She gets Yelena on board by telling her that Clint is the one to blame for Natasha's death.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, and there you go. I mean, that's enough to motivate her, even if she wasn't hired.
Yeah.
That's enough for her to, to seek out some sisterly justice, I guess.
Yeah. But again, from this scene, they look at Clint's picture and they're like, oh, he's a cutie, implying neither one of them know him.
Right.
So.
But I mean, look at that photo. I mean, that photo clearly shows him in the Ronin suit.
Yeah. So they've got that clearly hashed out.
Yeah.
Florence Pugh did get some more attention on the socials this week, though.
I caught that. How disappointing is that?
I know. Apparently, she was blocked from posting on her Instagram account after someone complained about it.
Yeah, someone actually complained about her posting about being in a television show that she appeared in.
Yeah, and she did manage to get a little bit of a story back up on her Instagram story.
Yeah.
So chances are she's been taken off post block, but she says, I never thought me posting about something I love will get taken down. And goes on to say, being in Hawkeye is a privilege, and thank you to all who welcomed me on set and all who are watching.
I gotta wonder, what kind of complaint would have to have been made against her for Instagram to take, or Meta now to have taken action against that? Like, do we think that was like purely algorithm based, like computer generated? Like that's the first level is just an automated response?
I don't think so. I've seen the post, and basically it's just a picture of her and it says she's back.
Yeah, like what's
so, like, spoilers aside, there's no reason she can't show love for the character
Of course
returning to
not.
action.
Yeah.
Especially after the episode has
After it's
already
aired.
Yeah, it's airing. It's not a spoiler anymore for the majority of people who've watched it.
The ridiculousness behind that is just.
Yeah. So we've got 2 more episodes left of Hawkeye, currently streaming on Disney Plus, and
2 more, and we've got how many? Let's talk about dangling plot threads here. We got to deal. We got to deal with Jack.
Got to deal with Jack.
We got to deal with Mom.
Got to deal with Mom.
Now we've got Yelena in the mix.
We still have to wrap up the Tracksuit Mafia and
Right.
Maya. We got to find out who Uncle is.
Yeah.
And there's a thing floating around the internet today about that.
Okay.
It's kind of fun. It's rip on the old Uncle Buck. Uncle Fisk.
The Uncle Fisk movie poster.
Yeah, he's cruel, he's brutal, he's family.
Totally riffing on the Uncle Buck. I like that in the sense that, I mean, whoever put that together, first of all, nailed it.
Yep.
But look at the little teaser there on the side of that.
Yeah, Daredevil just peeking in a little bit.
Yeah, so I mean, we've been talking about this now. This is the 2nd episode in a row where we've talked extensively about Wilson Fisk coming back. We talked about Charlie Cox last week potentially coming back. One other thing that came out, I just saw this earlier today. I don't know if it came out today or not, but I saw today there was some rumor that if and when Daredevil makes his appearance in the MCU, he will be wearing his yellow costume. So take that for what it is. It's purely speculation, but hey, that's what we do here.
Yes, we do.
I didn't speculate. I am just passing the information on. So don't blame me if it doesn't happen.
Yeah. All you can do is call it.
Yeah. And so I'm going to call this one. This one's probably my favorite episode so far. I love the car scene in the other episode with the 360-degree thing.
It's fast paced. It's got lots of forward momentum, and
I loved the pacing. I loved how tight it was. I love the revisiting Clint's trauma through his perspective.
Yeah.
And how that relates to his now budding relationship with Kate. I really liked digging into sort of his psychology, if you will.
Yeah, the mentor aspect is certainly taking hold.
Yeah, and now I'm eagerly awaiting to see. Clearly, we're going to see the new costumes in the next 2 episodes. But I also am curious to see what the LARPers get out of it.
Get some slick stuff.
Yeah.
New chainmail and all that.
It makes you wonder, like, if the LARPers will play a role in dealing with the tracksuits.
Maybe.
Do you know what I mean? Like this like force of medieval dressed like LARPers show up to take on the tracksuit guys.
It's possible though, because don't forget,
they're all emergency services.
Police, firemen, ambulance.
Yeah.
They would be showing up to a scene like that anyway. So
exactly. And I
if they happen to show up directly from their latest LARPing adventure,
that could make for some super duper comedy gold, if you ask me.
I think so.
Wow. So episode 4.
Yep.
And we can call that one, put that one in the bank.
I think so.
What'd you think?
I liked it.
Me too. Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap it up for tonight?
No, I got mine all out in the air. And
excellent. We got 2 more to go. Keep in mind when we get to episode 6, it's going to be an extra special week that week because we will be overlapping with our first episode of the Book of Boba Fandom, and new trailer for that came out earlier this week. So if you haven't checked that out, make sure you do, because it's going to influence a lot of what we're going to talk about going forward.
Yep.
Got our Christmas episode coming up. If all goes well, we're going to have a pre-recorded episode for you guys so that we don't actually have to work on Christmas. But it will definitely be Christmas themed, and we'll put that out for you on December 25th, 2021. But until our next one, that's it for me. So for Fandom Power, I'm Wes.
I'm Andy.
And we'll catch you later, guys.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.